What is up, what is up, what is up, ladies and gentlemen, and this is Robert Graves bringing you another episode of Warrior's Wisdom. Now, Warrior's Wisdom is simply just a smaller portion of You're the Vet, and it's pulled from a conversation that's already been had that is on the playlist that you can go back and search for after you've listened to the small clip of the guest that's on and want to hear more about it and find out what was actually said throughout the whole conversation. Before we get into the conversation between me and the guest on this episode of Warrior's Wisdom, I just want to remind you that You're the Vet is on most of the major social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all one word, You're the Vet. That's how you can find me. You're the Vet can also be found on most podcast platforms, so if you have friends that you're trying to get into the conversations that we're having, they can find us on pretty much anywhere: iTunes, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Google Play. So there's no excuse not to listen. Finally, please tell your friends about this. Tell your family. Tell veterans. Tell service members that are in and about to get out. Tell service members that are in and won't get out for another 2 years. Especially with this conversation with Bob Wheeler, you really find out that you should really start thinking about your transition from day one as a service member. Last but not least, please head on over to whatever you're listening to You're the Vet on and subscribe if you haven't subscribed, but more importantly, write a review, comment on the episodes, and share. It takes a village, really, and if you can help me spread the word, then we can get more visible and help more vets on their transition, because I understand this isn't the most entertaining form of entertainment. It's about transition, it's about, people's stories about their transition, it's about military, and I understand some of the conversations may seem redundant at times. However, we have to keep in mind that even though that this conversation didn't really do it for us, it could absolutely be the one conversation that does it for somebody that we know. Because realistically, like I said, it takes a village, and I need your help to help other veterans because we have to protect each other. So that's what it all boils down to. So moving on into the conversation with me and Bob Wheeler, who is the account manager for clearjobs.net. And Bob wasn't just a normal guest because we didn't get to really get into everything I wanted to. We had very limited time. And so I could only really catch the very bare bones of how I normally run the platform. But I wanted to get more questions that would help you guys out because he is in the know. And who better else to tap into than somebody who's out there getting vets hired on a daily basis. Seriously, the last thing I ask is that if this Warrior's Wisdom does it for you and intrigues you and gets your curious juices flowing, head back on over to You're the Vet, wherever you're listening to podcasts, or you'rethevet.com, and look for Bob Wheeler's full episode in the playlist and play it and play it and play it and play it and share it and play it and share it and share it. The end. With that being said, let's move on into this episode of Warrior's Wisdom. Gotcha. Finish this sentence regarding transition. Stop listening to your peers when they tell you.
Stop listening to your peers when they tell you it's going to be easy.
Yeah, right. Yes. Stop listening to them when they say that.
Because your peers, when you're in the service, many people, they think it's going to be easy. I know folks that think those things, and they're also the ones who aren't doing anything to really push themselves out, or they think that just getting a degree, I've got a degree. I got my master's degree while I was still in the Navy, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember everybody telling me that I was going to have it made. You got your master's degree? Dude, they're going to throw money at you. The degree wasn't what got me the job. What got me this position was me getting off my butt and going out and meeting people while I was still in the service, to the point that I had somebody from clearjobs.net start to look out for me. I mean, she was taking me to places and just showing me off to people to try to help me get a job. And then it turns out that when I got out, they had a job opening at at their company.
Yeah.
But that's what helped me more than the degree was nice. The degree probably made me more marketable, but nobody was going to hire me just because I had a degree. And you weren't going to pull that one on me again, because that's what I tried. That's what I tried to fall for 20 years earlier.
Yeah. Now, one of the last questions are, so being that you are a veteran who has gone through the transition process and had to find yourself, I mean, you relatively had a smooth transition, but you did have, I know we didn't touch on it, you had some decisions you had to make because you're a man who's married and your wife also has a career, XYZ, long story short. You transitioned and you are here where you're at today. What advice would you tell vets who are struggling to find themselves on their transition path right now?
I think the advice I would give people who are trying to figure out what their path is to not discount anything, to keep on and to keep meeting people and telling them your story. Mm-hmm. Because the more you can tell, the more you can get to really know people and let them know who you really are, you'll be surprised that when the other people are going to come up and say, I think you'd be good at this job. Mm-hmm. For me, it was sales. It could be something else that you never would have thought of. But they're not going to know those. They're not going to be able to offer you those suggestions unless they really know who you are. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, people just kind of give you random suggestions. Oh, you should look into this or you should look into that. Yeah. But if you're struggling to find yourself, what you really want to do, then what you need to do is you need to get to know more and more people, and you need to get to really have some significant conversations. Open up about what you've done and what you're looking for and those types of things, and then be open to their possible suggestions of other places to look. So that's kind of what it comes down to. Okay. So that was Warriors Wisdom with Bob Wheeler, account manager at clearjobs.net. And hopefully this conversation between us, this little bit taken out of the bigger conversation, is enough for you to get on over to the full conversation and listen to it in full, because it really is a conversation that I feel that every service member should probably hear, because there's so much in it that will help you on the beginning stages of your transition into the middle and on into a job. I really urge you to listen to Bob Wheeler's episode, because at the end of it in the show notes is his email. And you can reach out to Bob and ask any questions, especially if you have clearances. If you have a clearance, this is a guy you want to tap into about all the questions that you still have gray area on. Or one thing that you should pull from this is the people you serve with, they know just as much as you do, because you really don't know about transition until you go through it yourself. Because not everything is black and white. It's all gray area. And last but not least, if you thought that this episode was valuable, or if you have listened to the podcast and think that there's anything that I should try or change, or maybe somebody who would be a good fit for the podcast, please leave a response on this episode's comments. And I ask that you please get on over to wherever you're listening to, particularly if you have iTunes, get onto iTunes and rate You're the Vet, hopefully with a nice 5-star rating. So until next week, when we kick it off with a brand new episode, I hope that your week goes smoothly. Remember, you are a hero. Live like one.